I have the former Director General, Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Chijioke Ekechukwu. Thank you very much, Didi, for joining us on the show.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
I want to start this way. A lot of blow now on the price of crude, which is the mainstay of Nigeria as an economy. Now, how does this come to you, looking at the coronavirus and other issues affecting global trade?
You know, before now, each time we encounter low oil price, it's usually as a result of supply, having excess supply in the market. But this price reduction has actually happened just because demand has gone so low, and because it went low, price of oil has actually dropped also. Factories have been shut down in China and many other places. Movements have been restricted, so the users of this oil are no longer working, and at least for now. And so because of that, you see that consumption has reduced and price is actually forced down. The implication for us is that that of a warning signal. It's a warning signal because we do not know how long this is going to play out. Our budget oil price benchmark is fixed at $57 per barrel. And here we have price coming down as low as 58.2 already. And so what that tells us is that if this situation continues, we may have oil price going lower than the oil benchmark we have stipulated for our budget. And what it also means for us is that our, of course, our deficit is going to be far more than we ever planned to even have. And if it goes far more, that means we are going to borrow more than we ever planned we are going to borrow to be able to fix the deposit of the deficit side of our budget. So we are watching it, and the country is also watching it. If it was a supply issue, then of course OPEC will just come together and actually reduce production capacities. But this is this time a demand problem, and which makes it difficult for them to attend to. I want to believe that OPEC may be meeting very soon to be able to see how to solve this problem.
Of efforts by OPEC at this time to address this ugly trend. Now, as a country, how well would you say are we doing at this time to also build buffers and be ready in case there's any shift or any shock from global issues which is beyond our control?
Any shock that comes to this industry today is going to affect us adversely, very seriously adversely. The reason is that even if we depended so much on oil, which is what we have today, we are still not optimizing all the opportunities that are inherent in the oil sector. By the way, if we were producing, if we are refining our oil today, we would have been having a lot of byproducts of, say, bitumen, of course, a lot of gas, and a lot of things, carbon black, and many other things that have been byproducts of the oil, refinery of oil. Which would have formed part of our export and also given us the more desired foreign currencies. Unfortunately, we're not even optimizing our mainstay, which is the oil sector. We have mentioned so much about diversification, which, if you ask me, is more of paperwork today than action, because if anything happens to the oil industry, we are not prepared for any fallback. And that is very dangerous for us. And we are only praying right now that this does not continue, this oil drop does not continue. Otherwise, it's going to take us back to where we were in 2016, and that will not be good for the economy.
That won't be a good one, DG. DG, let's look at growth projections in 2020. I'm sure you're up to speed with all of the figures being all around, and now IMF is even coming, another agency saying 3.4%, might come up as much as 3.9%. Even AFDB was ruling out all of these figures. Now, with all of these challenges across board, what are you thinking about growth projections, or what are you thinking about these figures for Nigeria?
Yeah, when those projections were made, nobody knew we were going to have coronavirus in China that was going to affect the entire economic situation of the world. So, you know, it's one thing to make projections and another thing to see the realities of those projections. I'm sure those projections were made based on the fact that everything will move, all things will just be equal. But right now, with what we're seeing, all things are not equal. And so with that, I'm sure they're going to start changing those projections. But what we have to do as a country, really, is to continue our strengths of developing many sectors and making sure those sectors generate a lot of income for us and a lot of foreign exchange for us. The service sector has been doing well, and of course the ICT has been doing so well. Agriculture has been generating a lot for us, and we need to put a lot of effort in that area. Many times we have orchestrated the solid minerals sector, but it looks like, again, we have not made enough efforts to make that sector to make that sector work for us. You know, so we need to take specific efforts and select a few sectors that we think we can turn around within a very short period and concentrate on them in case there is any need to fall back on any other sector, in case there's a shock coming from the oil sector. Otherwise, it may affect us very badly.
DG, before I let you go, Africa's population is 1.2 billion at the moment. There's a projection that by 2050 it's going to be about 2.5 billion. That's double of what we have now. Are we really taking advantage of intra-African trade? Talking about trading between ourselves, which is part of what the AFCFTA is supposed to promote.
Yeah. I can tell you we haven't started taking advantage. But of course, we still provide the largest market in Africa, especially in West Africa, in terms of supply of goods. Many of these West African countries still come to Nigeria to buy. But what are they buying? They're still buying all the things we imported from other Western countries. So the only time we can start taking good advantage of our size as population and then economic size is when we start our own manufacturing and make sure that we are manufacturing and we're adding value to the economy. And so when people come, when all these West African countries come to Nigeria to purchase goods and services, then we're giving them and we're going to be seeing the effect in our economy. Right now, what we do is to import from Western countries and then export to them. That is not the mileage we want to achieve. And so as far as our population continues to increase and the economic growth is not increasing alongside with the economic growth, then you know we're still far away from solving poverty in Nigeria and in Africa. So if our population is going to grow by the projection made, then our economic growth has to even double what we are today in order for poverty to reduce in Nigeria.
All right there, former Director General, Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Chijioke. Thank you very much for your time. It's always nice talking to you on the show.